So, hey guys, how's it going? Uh, Kinda awkward video here, but I made a mistake in the DD combo video. It's a small one, it's not super important, but I guess it kind of is. Well, the thing is, it's more to do with ruling specifically. So we're going to pass here so I can get a DD and add it to my hand real quick. Oh yeah, that works. Okay, so for Lamia effect, well, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send one DD or Dark Contract card from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard except DD Lamia. Special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. It's basically this kind of effect and droplet as well. I had a little bit of a misunderstanding. The reason you can't summon Lamia by sending like Orthros or 7 Copernicus is, first off, you actually cannot send pens from the field to the graveyard as cost. If you target them with effects that send to the graveyard, like Ding Girsu effect, I guess, the card would go here to the extra deck face up actually. So cards on the field, pen cards specifically, they would only leave the field and not go to the extra deck if they are banished, return to the hand. I guess return to the extra deck kind of works if it's a penned monster, but that's weird, so I don't want to think about that right now. But also there's shuffle deck, return to hand, banish basically. And I guess, yeah, that's the only way to remove a pen card without putting it onto the extra deck face up, aside from like using it to XYZ and then like having the XYZ monster leave the field or detach the penned monster as material. Aside from that, there aren't any ways to really have them leave the field and not go to the extra deck face up, if that makes sense. So to demonstrate this a little bit, well, I have 2 examples for you. I'll show you guys the other one in a second. So if we do Lamia effect, these are the valid targets for me to send to the graveyard. My Kepler in hand is valid because it's not on the field. Pen cards act pretty normally in hand. Even if you destroy a pen card in your hand, it doesn't go to the extra deck face up. And I can send a Headhunt, of course, because it is a DD card, and Dark Contract as well. There's no real issue with sending that. We can also send Gilgamesh as well. Gilgamesh is not a pen, it'll just go straight to the graveyard. No issues whatsoever. So you can target penned monsters with like an effect that is send to the graveyard, and it'll still resolve. Like, this will go here, right? But for cost, if you physically are not able to do what the cost asks of you, basically you can't activate the effect, or you can't pay the cost that way. So that's why, for example, you can't Forbidden Droplet using stuff on the field. Well, no, stuff in your hand, while Herald of the Arclight, yeah, that's the one. Herald of the Arclight is on the field. You can't send stuff from your hand for cost of Droplet. That's why you also can't use this, or this as cost for Droplet, because they're all pens on field. So it doesn't matter if it's in your monster zones or your spell trap zones. Your pen monsters, I guess, they can't be sent to the graveyard as cost for anything. But if you were to return them to hand for a cost, that would be okay, from my understanding. So it kind of sucks that there's no hand test function. Took me a while to get this hand. I had to reroll like 10 hands to get this exact hand. Well, I mostly just wanted Dark Griffer and Danger Nessie, but... well, I'll show you guys the board in a second. Has been a hype second for you guys. So anyways, now we have Zephyros in the graveyard. So this is actually a cost tier. So basically how costs work is they are immediately paid the moment you activate the effect. So in this case, if this card is in your graveyard, you can return one face-up card you control to the hand, special summon this card, and if you do, take 400 damage. So whenever I activate this effect, it'll instantly return my Dark Refer because I can't target Dugaris for this, because this specifically says the card has to go to my hand, and extra deck monsters cannot go to your hand. Not for cost, but if you used an effect that did the same thing, like return to hand or shuffle to deck, then Dugaris in this case would go back to the extra deck face down. So this isn't even a valid target. As you can see, the only target that I can do is Dark Refer. Like if I had a Zombie World here, or like continuous something, then I could return that to my hand, but I literally cannot target Dugaris. It's actually the same kind of principle, so we'll just do that. Bam. And that's kind of the mistake I made. It was just like a throwaway few seconds, I guess, but you cannot actually, well, I didn't quite understand how costs worked exactly, I guess, but you have to like be able to do what the card says exactly, like return one face-up card you control that to the hand, for example. In this case, Dugaris, being an extra deck monster, cannot go to my hand, but in the other case, it would be my penned monsters not being able to be sent to the graveyard from face-up on the field. So that's not as important with Lamia because you don't really want to be sending your pen monsters that much anyways. There might be like some scenario, but doubtful. So there is a Forbidden Droplet though. That's where it mostly matters. You can't send your scales, you can't send your monsters, and that's my bad, guys, and I'm sorry about that. I should have studied up more, I suppose, but I hope you learned a thing or two today about Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically, this seems to be how costs work, but I believe effects instead will try to resolve as much as possible, whereas with costs, you can't resolve them. Well, I think that summarizes it, so I'll see you guys later.